السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. This is part 3 in modal verbs. وقفنا في part 2 على correction of the exercise. Circle the correct auxiliary modal verb in each sentence. Number 1. My boss told me that I have to work overtime this week. دابا استعمل هنا I have وما استعملش I must. علاش؟ حيت قلت I have to كتعني واحد obligation اللي تجي من واحد outside source، ماشي بحال I must يعني outside source واحد الobligation اللي تجي عن طريق شي authority ولا law ولا boss. بحال هنا كاين boss هو outside authority outside obligation، ماشي بحال must. كون قلت must بتجي من الداخل مني أنا. I must get my clothes washed before the interview. must حتى ندوي على راسي. She has to pay monthly rent to live in her apartment. باش تعيش في الابارتمنت خاصها تخلص كل شهر، يعني تخلص جايه من هاد الاوتوريتي من عند هذاك اللي لاند ليدي اللي كاريه ليها او اللي لاند لورد اللي كاري ليها. Number 4. Omar's dad said that he has to clean his room before he can play. يعني عاوتاني جات هاد الاوبليغيشن من واحد الاوتوريتي اللي هو Omar's dad, the father of Omar, said that he has to clean his room. بلي عمر خاصو ينظف الغرفة ديالو قبل ما يلعب. I must buy those pretty red shoes. يعني يعجبوني هادوك red shoes and I must buy them. 6. The runner has to win the race to get a gold medal. يعني has to واحد authority outside obligation إلا بغا يربح الريس، إلا بغا يربح a golden medal in the race. The police officer said that I have to stay at home. يعني قال لي البوليس اوفيسر بأني I have to stay at home. يعني جاتني هاد استعملت have to عاوتاني because in outside obligation جات من police officer. 8. I must win this game of cards. يعني جاية هاد obligation من عندي أنا one self. I must become a tennis champion. The same thing again. People have to eat to live. ناس خاصهم ياكلوا باش يعيشوا. هذه جاية من outside obligation كتفرضها nature الطبيعة. Now without to and had better. Out to is used to express the ideal or the best action في شي حاجة غادي نشرحها. It's a little bit different from should. واحد شوي مختلفة على should because it gives the sentence a more obligatory tone. كتعطي sentence more obligatory. The negative of out is out not or the contraction هو oughtn't. Example, I ought to become a teacher because my father was a teacher. بحال قلتي I should become a teacher because my father was a teacher. In this example, ought to is used to express the ideal. يعني هنا قصدت بالايديال يعني بحال أروع شيء نقدر نوليه هو a teacher because it's a sort of obligatory action to become a teacher because my father was a teacher. Ought to is rarely used in questions and negatives. In negatives, not comes between out and to. In questions, the subject comes between out and to. Example, I ought not to have said that to Jim. ما كانش لي نقول هذا الجيم. بحال قلت I should not have said that to Jim. يعني هي out وهي out to ودرت من وسطهم not. يعني هنا تنفورم negative. In questions and negative, should is frequently used instead of ought to. اللي بيدير negative باستعمال ought to, it's better to use should because it sounds more natural. Ought I في question كتتولي ought I to report the news to the boss. بحال قلت should I report the news to the boss. بحال ought we to stay at home. Should we stay at home? Ought to is also used to express an obligation or an expectation that someone should do something. يعني كتستعمل كذلك باش نعبروا على واحد obligation بحال should أو لا an expectation شي توقع that someone should do something. يعني عندي معطيات تنبني عليهم أنه شي شخص غيكون دار شي حاجة. You ought to listen carefully to me. خاصك أو بحال قلت لي you should listen carefully to me. We ought to leave now. It's too late. يعني it's too late. We should leave now. Jim's bike is broken. هنا هاي استعمال ديال ought to في expectation. هنا في obligation وهنا في expectation. توقع. يعني Jim's bike is broken، الدراجة ديالو خاسرة ولا مهرسة. يعني he ought to go to school by bus. يعني I expect him to go to school by a bus because his bike is broken. Also we use to express the likelihood of something happening. عمر ought to be at home by now. بحال expectations هي. يعني مثلا عمر ought to be at home by now، يعني تفوت معاه انا واحد الساعة وتقريبا راه 45 دقيقة باش يوصل لدار. يعني بهذا الوقت he should be at home by now. ought to plus have plus past participle of the verb is used to express regret that something was not done or to reproach وتعاتب شي واحد على شي حاجة someone for doing or not doing something. بحال you shouldn't have. I ought to have spoken to him this morning. كان لي ندوي معاه هذا الصباح ولكن ما دويتش في الأصل، يعني عبرت على حالة عنادة. You ought to have offered to help. كان ليك تعرض يد المساعدة ولا تقدم to offer to help. They ought to have told us about their wedding party. يعني they should have told us، يعني ما خبروناش هنايا. كان اليوم يعلمونا على الحفل الزفاف ديالهم. Now with had better. Had better is used in the same way as ought to. بحال استعمالتها ought to أو should. The negative of had better is had better not. He had better wash his hands before each meal. He had better not wash his hands before each meal. In this example, had better is used to express the ideal and somewhat obligatory action to wash his hands before each meal. يعني بحال استعملها باش نعبر على واحد الايديال اكشن اللي خاصها دار، يعني افضل حاجه خاصو يديرها او افضل حاجه يتوجب عليه ان يفعلها هي had better wash his hands. Now with shall and should. Shall is used to express a future action. It's different than will because it's used to express an order or prophecy. Prophecy هو بحال شي تنبؤ ولا توقع شيئا ما. The negative of shall is shall not or the contraction of shan't. Example, I shall become a teacher. In this example, shall is used to express the prophecy. في هذا المثال استعملت shall باش تعبر لنا على ذاك البروفيسي، على ذاك التوقع على ذاك التنبؤ of me becoming a teacher in the future. Example, starting from today you shall remain at home. يعني قلنا كتستعمل shall باش نعبر على واحد الأوردر أمر. In this example, shall is used to order أو to command a future action اللي هو remaining at home. Now with should. Should, the modal verb should, is used in the following ways. To talk about obligation, كنستعملوها على شيء to express an obligation, you already know that. Examples, people should not leave their homes for their safety. Omar should report this accident to the police. In difficult times like these, you should think of others before yourself. To give advice or instructions، يعني should كذلك تستعمل to give advice or instructions نصيحة ولا تعليمات. You should prepare yourself for life. You should keep your nose out of people's business، يعني ما تحشرش أنفك في شؤون الناس. Should is also used to suggest that something follows on logically أو لا prediction from what has just been said أو لا توقع بناء على شي حاجة اللي بحال قالت. They left the bus station at 6 o'clock. مثلا مشاو they left the bus station محطة الباص مع 6 o'clock. So they should be home now. غادي يكونوا في الدار دابا، بحال تستغرق لهم ساعة انهم وصلوا للدار، يعني 7 وقلت شحال في الساعة هذه 7 يعني at 6 o'clock they left the bus يعني they should be home now. Should plus past participle of the main verb can be used to express regret about something that was done or was not done. نقدر نستعملها كذلك بحال ought to، شي حاجة اللي بتنعبر على الندم ديالي أني ما درتهاش أو لا أني درتها. he should have stopped at the red light. يعني مثلا وقعت car accident، واحد شاف الضوء الأحمر وحرق ستوب، وقلت he should have stopped at the red light، يعني كان عليه يستوجب عليه يوقف عند الضوء الأحمر باللي شافه. you should have told me you were sick، يعني كان عليك تقول لي، دابا ما قلتيش ليا وقع but you should have told me that you were sick. أنا stop here. كنتمنى لكم الإفادة، الله يسر لكم جميعا.